Welcome to week 2 of our double hoop bonanza. Last week we went over stretching the fabric and transferring your design. So if you missed that week, be sure to check out that week or last week's video on how to do that. This week we're going to go into making your scrap fabric into little strips so you can use it for your punch needle with your punch needle tool. And then next week we will go over the stitches, so be sure to check out next week's video as well. For this piece I used all scrap fabric. It's fabric that I had on hand. And then this is a cotton, almost like a macrame cord. It's very, very thick. You cannot punch needle with this, but it works really well for the weaving. So to prepare, we're going to talk about scrap fabric first, because since we're not using yarn, you can use yarn. If you're going to use yarn for this, outside of this very thick macrame cord, I would use a yarn weight of 4 or 5 for these. And you can, outside of this plushy, the poofy clouds, you can use yarn for all of this, but you would want some cotton fabric to pull and cut for this section of the piece. So let's talk about that. So these are old sheets. I keep using them because it's a twin sheet and it's lasting me forever, but it is 100% cotton. And it's a pretty thin sheet, that's why we don't really use them, but it works perfect for punch needle, who knew? So for the cloud puffy part, this section right here, you're gonna want 4-inch wide, 3 to 4 inch wide pieces of cotton fabric. 100% cotton will pull really nicely, so I do recommend 100% cotton. So to get a 4-inch piece, you simply take, if you have 100% cotton, you can just tear it. So you'll take your fabric, find the end, and you will gauge about 4 inches, pretty thick, and then you put a 2 or 3 inch cut in it to start, and then you just grab really tight and just pull. And the tearing effect actually kind of helps the bubbling of the fabric, because the side ones kind of bunch up a little bit, so it'll help poof up your poofs. And in order to do this part, you will want to, this has to fit into a tapestry needle, so you will want to, this is how I did it, this is my trick. So I just cut off the ends here to make it small enough that I could get my tapestry needle threaded. And then once you can get it threaded, it will go through the monk's cloth because the strands will part for you. So you're going to want to put a little bit of a triangle peak in the one end of your 4-inch piece of fabric. And then for these fabric strips, you will do a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. It is a thin fabric, so you can do about 1/2 inch if you're, but I find it's easier if you do it a little bit closer to a 1/4 inch. So do about 1/4 inch, cut down an inch or so, and then grab it really tight and tear fast. And then you'll want to do several of those. So we have our 4-inch strip and our little 1/4 inch strips of the white fabric. And then next, I also use the white fabric to get the macrame cord in. And we did this and we did this, so now we're going to do these. So this is an old tank top that I used, the gray. And this does have a little bit of elasticity in it, and I think it will break up over time. So if you're using clothes, I would try to pick something that doesn't have, that's not stretchy. It's more just a cotton or jersey fabric. And you will want these to be closer to the 1/4 inch. So for these strips, I used the mat with a rotary knife. So you'll lay your fabric onto your mat and go about 1/4 of an inch and then just cut. Just like that. And this shirt does have seams, so then you'll want to cut the seams. So you'll have pretty short little fabric strips. And you will want several of these as well. And then the green fabric is a wool felt blend. And I basically saw it in the store and loved the color. So I wish it was a little less felty if I were to purchase it again. But it did work up really nice. And you just do the same thing with this. This you do want to stick very close to the 1/4 inch because this is a very, very thick fabric. The thicker your fabric is, the more you want to stay to 1/4 inch or even smaller. The lighter weight fabrics, you can go anywhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And you'll do several of those. And then the yellow fabric is a linen blend. It has some polyester in it. And this one I like to fold in half. And then you want to lay the fabrics, line them up as close as you possibly can. And this, for the sake of the video, I'm going to actually fold it again, but I found it worked better if you only fold it once. The more folds you have in it, the more chance you have of getting an uneven peak along the way. So you lay it out and do your 1/4 inch. And you have that. And you want several of those as well. We're going to take a minute to talk about tools. I used a number 8 and a number 10 regular, both regular thickness, and I used the number 8 and a number 10. And the reason for that is some of the alternative fabric strips, if they were a little bit thicker, I found that the extra loop that you get with the 8 regular, the extra length, helped it stay in the fabric and it was more enjoyable to work with. So I used the 8 sometimes with thicker fabrics, and then I used the 10 sometimes with the thinner fabrics. So it was kind of a trial and error. Sometimes even with the same fabric, this, if I got it small enough, the 10 worked great and the 8 was too long. So you kind of want to play with the tools and see which one is working better. And then I also used a regular, just a little tapestry needle. This is a size 16 tapestry needle. And I used that to do this stitching here and the whip stitching, and then I used it for here and this section. So your 8 and 10 regular are for this section, and then tapestry needle is for everything else. And that's it for week 2. Be sure to come back next week to be able to do the stitches in the piece. We'll learn a couple new stitches that I've never done before on here. So be sure to come back next week and check out that video. And also be sure to subscribe, like, subscribe, share, do all the things, and let them know that you love me so. Have a good day.